service. Your reader has been Rosemary. Thank you for listening.
Hello, this is Mikey, and for the next half hour, I'll be reading from the, February 2nd issue of the Chautauqua Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And we will start with our first page. So we'll start with the front page. It's Groundhog Day for our hometown team. Well, it's the off season again. The best thing that can be said about it is that the Sabres are good. Excuse me, like really good. But that doesn't change the fact that Groundhog Day will be spent lamenting a lost season of Josh Allen's prime. Worse yet, it's another groundhog spent trying to figure out how to hex the New England Patriots. Let's clear up a couple of things about the actual holiday. It's Groundhog Day, not Groundhog's Day. Punxsutawney is the only town that can lay claim to an actual Groundhog Day prediction, and I will die on that hill. Let's get the rest of this page. To get to page 11. Bear with me while we find that. Sorry for the delay. It's down at the bottom of the page on the screen, on the big screen. Dunkirk Dave and his fellow prognosticating posers, but they are simply Groundhog Day's mall Santas, stand-ins, mere replicas. Only Phil himself is the seer or seers, the prognosticator of prognosticators. Each year he speaks in his native groundhogese and lets the good people of Punxsutawney know how much longer their lives are going to be cold and miserable. Groundhog Day is also a film that stars Bill Murray as Phil Connors, a TV meteorologist sent to cover the holiday. Every morning when he wakes up, it's Groundhog Day again, and the day starts over exactly as before in an endless time loop. To Bill's fans, Groundhog Day feels like a documentary these days. After a few weeks of living the same day over and over again, Phil bleakly stares into the camera and says, quote, "It's going to be cold, and it's going to be gray, and it's going to last for the rest of your life," unquote. As the snow stacks up and the temperatures continue to plummet, it's worth pondering what possesses us to sign up for this annual torture. The 2025 Buffalo Bills season felt familiar from the start. The team stormed into September with the same seasonal swagger, a retooled roster, training camp buzz, and highlight reel throws that convinced everyone this was the year the loop would break. But as the wind stacked up, so did the deja vu. They cinched a playoff spot. They looked poised, confident, and dangerous. And then, like clockwork, like Punxsutawney Phil, spotting his own shadow, they greeted the postseason with the same familiar script. But when the clock wound down, the outcome felt eerily, painfully, predictably cyclical. Another playoff loss, another long walk to the parking lot, another year of asking the cosmic football gods, is this purgatory? The parallels were uncanny. Each off-season, we've learned from last year. Each regular season, we're built differently. Each playoff exit, next year is the year. Okay, let's see if this guy's got any more to say. Looks like not. So we're going to go back to the very front page and see what we've got. Unfortunately, that gentleman was right. The Seattle Seahawks, from the kingdom to redemption. I have a soft spot for the Chicken Hawks, having lived in Seattle, in the Seattle area on and off from 2000 to 2019. To see them win in 2014 against Denver, then lose to the Pats in 2015 still stings a bit. And this is written by featured writer Kenny McDonald. In 2006, I was living in Buffalo, so I became an automatic Bills fan when the Steelers got the better of them. So much the better, as a high school acquaintance, Casey Hampton got his first of 2 Super Bowl rings that year. Now we've got to scoot over to page 10, so just 1 second. I'm sorry. Well, sorry for the delay. Mike McDonald gives me reason to root for Seattle again. Not only does the Seahawks head coach seem to be well liked by his team and fans, but we also share the same particular spelling of our name, although we are not knowingly related. M-A-C small d will be my epitaph. The Seattle Seahawks entered the NFL in 1976 as an expansion team, taking their name from a public contest honoring the Pacific Northwest maritime heritage. From their first game at the newly opened Kingdom, so deafeningly loud that opposing quarterbacks struggled to call plays in the huddle, and in 1989, the NFL actually penalized the Seahawks for excessive crowd noise, a rule that was softened after fan displeasure across the league. On December 15, 1984, the Seahawks retired jersey number 12 in honor of their fans, cementing the 12th man tradition. However, this phrase actually originated at Texas A&M University in 1922, and the school trademarked it in 1990. In 2016, a new 5-year agreement required Seattle to pay $140,000 total to Texas A&M for the use and protection of the trademark. The deal prohibits the Seahawks from using, quote, 12th man on merchandise or social media, leading them to rebrand their fan base as the 12s. The Seahawks played at the Kingdom from 1976 to 1999, compiling a 101-83 record before the stadium was demolished on March 26, 2000, when they moved to what is now Lumen Field in 2002. The 12s continued the tradition of being part of the team's audible defenses. Everything transformed under Pete Carroll's leadership, starting in 2010. With the fearsome Legion of Boom defense and the 12th man creating seismic noise, Seattle demolished Denver 43-8 in the Super Bowl. Heartbreak came with 26 seconds left the next year. The Seahawks were trailing 28-24 with the ball on New England's 1-yard line. Offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell called for a pass instead of handing to Marshawn Lynch for beast mode certainty. The Pats' Malcolm Butler interception stunned the football world and haunts Seattle to this day. The decision remains inexplicable. Lynch had scored in similar situation countless times. That single play transformed a potential dynasty into a cautionary tale about overthinking the obvious. Now, 11 years later, the Seahawks face the Patriots again in Super Bowl 60. The rosters have completely turned over, with Sam Darnold and Drake May leading their respective teams, but the significance resonates. For Seahawks fans, this isn't just a rematch. It's a chance to exorcise the ghost of that goal line interception. The 12s will be watching, hoping this time the ending writes itself differently, perhaps with a power run that erases the memory of a pass that should never have been thrown. Interestingly, this matchup represents the second longest hometown Super Bowl rivalry by driving distance, approximately 3,043 miles between Seattle and Foxborough, Massachusetts. It trails only the 3,100-mile gap between San Francisco and Miami in 1985 Super Bowl. Let's see. 19. Long time ago. Well, that man is a fan. Now I'm going to go back to the front page, if you'll hold on with me while we see what else is here. Well, the New England Patriots, from Brady to beyond. So we have some more Super Bowl news. And this is written by Zach and Will Stallsmith. We have been fans of the New England Patriots our entire lives, perhaps an odd reality for folks born and raised in Western New York, but raised the right way as a Patriots fan. Our dad is originally from Springfield, Massachusetts, so essentially that is why we are Patriots fans. Along with our other brother, sister, and our mom, we have all been raised up to be Patriots fans, growing up with the greatest football player of all, I would imagine, time, but we'll look. I'm sorry. It takes a little while to get these second pages up. This time, Tom Brady made life just a little bit more enjoyable. From 2001 to 2019, the Patriots' reign was pure dominance. 17 division titles, 13 American football conferences, winning 9 of those and 9 Super Bowl appearances, winning 6 of those and posting a record of 232 to 72. The Patriots have held a legacy that will be remembered forever, and now this year that legacy continues. Watching players like Ty Law, Ted Bruschi, Jared Mayo, Vince Wilfork on the defensive side of the ball, and players like Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman, and so many more players across Patriot history. The legacy started with the guys like these. Growing up a Patriot, I felt proud. Getting to watch these players every week just brought a feeling of pride and joy. Every Sunday, my family and I would watch Tom Brady run on the field and give a "let's effing go," unquote. These were the times we cherished and will always remember. From regular season games to the Super Bowl, being able to watch these games with our family and friends has always been a special feeling. Even attending fun matchups of the Bills Patriots at the Ralph New Era Field, Highmark Stadium. Throughout the years, the Patriots have brought many great memories, laughs, and a few tears, but we are forever proud to call ourselves fans of the New England Patriots. Wow. Interesting stuff here today. And let's see what time it is. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Chautauqua Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And we're 15 minutes in. Let's see what else is on our front page. Lots of sports. And I'm going to read to you this week around town. Tuesday, February 3rd, cinema series, Song Sung Blue at 7:30 p.m. The Fredonia Opera House Performing Arts Center, Fredonia. It's a good movie. Wednesday, Winter Seed and Sow, Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy, Lakewood. For information, go to info@chautauquawatershed.org. February 4th, Movies at the Reg, Song Sung. There you go again. At 7 p.m. Thursday, February 5th, Craft and Sip Group from 7 to 10 p.m. Labyrinth Press, Jamestown. Friday, February 6th, First Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Audubon Community Nature Center. Galatine, 6 to 8 p.m., Art Cloth and Craft, Jamestown. For information, go to artclothandcraft.com. Movies at the Reg. Is This Thing On? At 7 p.m. at the Reg Lena Center for the Arts, Jamestown. And The Diary of Anne Frank, 7 p.m. at the Lucille Ball Little Theater in Jamestown. Wine and Chocolate Weekend, the 12th to 5 p.m. at Lake Erie. Wine Country, Frozen 50K, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Cassadaga Community Center, Cassadaga. For information, runsignup.com, Race, New York, Cassadaga, Frozen 50. And lastly, National Theater Live, Mrs. Warren's Profession at 1 p.m. in the Fredonia Opera House Performing Arts Center. For information, you can get it at fredoniaopera.org. And let's see what else we've got going on. This is by the owner and publisher, and this is an editorial with Laurie Cornell, and the title is Fun and Games with a question mark, with support from Katrina Fuller, editor-in-chief. Here at the Chautauqua Gazette, we are proud to serve as our community's feature newspaper that tells the story of our area. We work hard to stay true to our mission to showcase Chautauqua County as a great place to live, work, and visit. We endeavor to represent our thriving small business community and the many dedicated organizations and exciting events that make us so special. We theme each edition to fit the season and the spirit of our place and time with every consideration, collaboration, tie-in, and creative angle we can. We leave the, quote, hard news and on the beat reporting to our friends in the daily newspaper business. We don't pull from the AP wire or editorialize on politics in general. But after the events of the past few weeks, our theme for this edition just didn't sit right with me. I couldn't just bring myself to write about tailgating and football parties after some of the things that have happened in the past several days. Yes, every first week in February, it's exciting to join together as a community to celebrate the time-honored tradition of the annual National Football League's Super Bowl. Football generally makes for good, clean fun right here in Chautauqua County. But multiple times, when I read through the news this week, I was brought to tears. Sure, news coverage is very realistically not always good news, nor is it expected to be so in the, quote, real world, unquote. I won't launch into a litany of examples, but human nature and the world at large are not all sunshine and rainbows all of the time. As any plugged-in participant in our global society knows, I do my best to stick to our mission and don't dabble in worldly affairs. However, this week is different. Our theme this week celebrates the Super Bowl, but in the midst of raw emotion, I haven't been thinking about fun and games. I hear stories of battered faces, bruised bodies, and weeping in the street. I think of the beautiful Mexican migrant mushroom workers with whom I prayed as a postgraduate AmeriCorps volunteer decades ago. I hear the stories of children separated from their parents, and I think of my own children as a mother. I hear stories of a nurse killed, and I think of my sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and all those so dedicated to protecting others in health care. I hear stories of detained parents, patients left without their life-dependent medicines, and I think of my type 1 sons who would die without insulin. I hear stories of the international children at my son's school, now carefully trained to respond and protect themselves. I hear about the elderly, the confused, the naturalized, and even the born and raised Americans living in terror because of the color of their skin, their associations, their status, and other unknowns. I hear about fellow humans in pain this week, and I am jarred. This is America, the land that I love, the land of the free and the home of the brave. But you might not know it from watching the news this week. Yes, I will enjoy the big game this Sunday with my loved ones, and so too should you. But forgive me this week, it just doesn't feel right to editorialize only about fun and games. May God bless all those alone and afraid this week, too. Okay, now let's go back and continue on. I have a good writer here. Everything you need to know about the 2026 Winter Olympics. When and where. Dates. Opening ceremony is February 6th, 2026. Competition, February 6th until the 22nd. Some events begin as early as February 4th with non-medal competition. The host is Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy. This is a historic first where two cities are official co-hosts of the Winter Olympics. The opening ceremony is San Siro Stadium, Milan. The closing ceremony is in the Verona Arena, a Roman amphitheater. Participating athletes, over 2,900 athletes from over 90-plus countries. Medal events, 116 medal events spanning 16 different disciplines across 8 sports categories. What's new in 2026? Ski mountaineering makes its Olympic debut, plus new events have been added, including women's large hill ski jumping, women's double luge, and a mixed team skeleton event, among others. Event locations and venues. Events are spread across multiple regions of northern Italy. Milan, ice sports, figure skating, ice hockey, speed skating in the Milan cluster. Cortina d'Ampezzo, Dolomites, alpine skiing and other mountain disciplines. Other alpine towns like Bormio, Ligorno, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering these, and Tassero host skiing and snowboarding events. This distribution makes Milano Cortina 2026 one of the most geographically widespread Winter Games in history. Team USA and other competitors. The United States is sending its largest Winter Olympic team ever, 232 athletes, 115 men, 115 women, 117 men, across 16 sports. Where to watch? The games will be broadcast on NBC and streamed on Peacock NBC platforms with expanded coverage, including a dedicated Olympic, quote, gold zone, unquote, whip-around show. Winter Paralympics. Following the Olympics, the 2026 Winter Paralympics will be held March 6th to the 15th in Milan and Cortina, featuring about 665 athletes and 79 events in 6 sports. How impressive is that? And just to a quick review, second annual Friends of the Gazette campaign, how to join or renew. Online, visit chqgazette.com to join or renew. By mail, send a check made payable to L. Cornell and Company, LLC, P.O. Box 32, Bemis Point, New York, 14712. Pay all at once or spread your support throughout the year by signing up for a monthly credit card autopay. Remit your check or sign up online so we can include you on our 2026 Friends page, premiering in our Valentine edition. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the February 2nd issue of the Chautauqua Gazette. We read from the Chautauqua Gazette on Mondays at 8:30 a.m. Your reader has been Mikey. I apologize for any stuttering around changing pages. Thank you very much for listening.
You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Radio reading serves people who are blind or have a print disability throughout Western New York and Southern Ontario's Niagara Peninsula. From its broadcast studios at 1199 Harlem Road in Cheektowaga, just north of Clinton Street. Almost 40 years and more than 300,000 hours of radio readings to those unable to read printed matter on their own. Our broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Volunteer radio readers broadcast daily readings of newspapers, magazines, and books. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call us at 716-821-5555.
following program is intended for listeners